Deadlights Pod. Welcome to the Deadlights Podcast. I'm your host, Sam.
And I am your other host, Leslie, and we're bringing you another episode, another horror movie.
Oh, yes, another horror movie. Another sequel, actually.
Yeah.
Yet another sequel in our series and in this season in particular. The sequel to the movie that we ended the last season with, which was Final Destination. We watched Final Destination 2 from 2003. Directed by David R. Ellis. Written by J. Mackye Gruber, Eric Bress, and Jeffrey Reddick. Kimberly has a premonition of an accident killing multiple people, including her and her friends. She blocks the cars behind her on the ramp, and as a police trooper arrives, the accident happens. Death is stalking this group of survivors. They're just describing a scene.
I mean, it was the trajectory of like what the events of what happened.
True.
So
True. That is very true. But also for how much they referenced the first movie, there was no mention of the first movie in this logline.
Tomorrow marks the 1-year anniversary since Valet Air Flight 180 exploded and crashed shortly after takeoff from JFK Airport.
There was heavy references going on throughout the whole movie of number one, because this is number two.
Number two.
Don't forget.
God. That's the thing about these sequels, these high like franchise movies, is that when it is a sequel, are we going to receive an enormous amount of information about the first one?
The survivors who managed to get off the plane before it crashed died soon thereafter in a series of mysterious and bizarre accidents.
Please don't put the entire movie into the second one. There's no substance after that.
I think the big question that we're going to have to ask in this movie review, which I didn't feel like I really needed to think about in the first couple sequels that we've covered, is have they done it better than the first one? Because inherently when you see a sequel, you're going to have seen the first one. And I think that there has to be some sort of evolution of the story, evolution of the world that we're set in, and then also a leveling up. You know, people have an expectation. You need to reach that expectation and then exceed it in some way or change it. And I think that this movie is going to be kind of interesting to see kind of side by side of that first one. Were they successful in creating a good sequel? I can think of ways in which they were successful and ways in which they were not successful. But I think maybe we should just get into it.
Let's go.
And see what we got.
Let's go.
Let's jump into the can. Much like the first one, this movie is airing more on an action movie-esque between the big set pieces and the effects and the explosions.
The explosions. Jesus.
A lot of fires everywhere. They loved fire. The pyrotechnic on this movie was going crazy.
I would love to have traded the policeman for a firefighter. Because for the amount of fucking fires.
He would have been way more useful.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Not just some maybe love interest of the main character.
No, I don't remember his name.
Hey, I'm a cop, remember?
But they definitely nailed, I think, the action part of this movie. And, we saw a lot of sweeping camera movements, whether it was tracking along with characters or a lot of Steadicam work, too. Dramatic moves into characters.
Lots of those.
A lot of those, which is pretty inherent in when you're trying to create an exciting, driving action movie. On the flip side of that, though, alongside that, we kind of had this soap opera-esque story / performances going on where a lot of these lines were pretty hokey.
It's Daytona, not Somalia. Fix-a-flat, road flares, sunblock, mace.
Condoms, whips, chains.
You hide out in here because you're too damn bitter and selfish to help any other person. In my opinion, you're already dead.
If he gives me the gas and I wake up with my pants unbuttoned, we ain't paying.
Soap opera-esque. It was also kind of lit like it was kind of lit like that too. A lot of heavy oranges and warm tones going on.
And some of the usage of the lighting to romanticize the scene, they're a little too on the nose. How are you gonna get orange hues through a hospital window? The angle in which the sun is hitting is higher, so you're not getting the orange hue, so it can't go into. I was just like, no, this lighting does not make sense right now.
Yeah,
it makes sense for the emotional arc that you're trying to create, but we are wanting to stop it because a child is 17 or 18, and then the cop is like presumably 30s.
Yeah, it felt forced because that was literally like physically forced for them to create that moment with the lighting, and then that extends to the performances too. Like the lead two characters, Kimberly and Cop, were two of the flattest actors of the whole movie.
Look, I don't know how to explain it, but I saw the pilot before it happened. I saved some people.
I tried calling you last night, but your father said you were sleeping.
Evan Lewis is dead.
Yeah. I've been getting calls all morning from everyone who was on the on-ramp.
I have to die.
No, that's crazy. You can't give up now. We have to fight this thing.
We're dragged through the whole movie along with these two flat actors that they were trying to force us to care about, and then force this like romance.
Oh my God, it was terrible. They were dry as an overcooked fish. I don't like overcooked fish.
Who does?
Their performance was dry as fuck.
Yeah.
Sweetie, are you sure you're okay?
Dad, I know this sounds crazy, but I'm really scared for the others. I'm so scared.
We're not in a good place when we're naming what we're supposed to be showing in a movie.
Yeah, I'm so sad. Oh my God.
Fucking sociopath.
And Clear Rivers was also a very flat performance in the first one.
Yeah.
And then in this one, it was even worse.
You'll be the last to go. But don't worry. Once the others are dead, it'll come back for you. It always does.
Like, it was just, there were some deliveries and some of the action that she was doing that just like didn't quite make sense. I wasn't a big fan of the script at all.
I struggle with the Clear character because I like the fact that they bring her back. I like that story, that storytelling tool that they have someone from the first one come in and give us information and, try to help people adapt from what we learned in the first movie in the second movie.
If you were smart, you'd save yourself and just forget about the others.
How can you say that? You have a responsibility.
My friends are dead. That's how I can say that.
But because she's in a scene, a 3-person scene where she is already flat too, and then we bring in 2 other flat actors, it just really highlights how flat she is. In the first one, I think it worked a little more because Devon Sawa, he was a little bit more animated. He was like kind of the one that was bringing up the energy, and that was good because he was also the guy that we were following the whole time.
It worked. It seemed like the director was able to maneuver through that kind of acting and work with that. For this, we didn't. We just needed someone pretty to deliver lines that ended up just falling flat and not adding to anything. And when that's coming from the main character, it's difficult to then invest any sort of trust for the rest of the movie. Like we just lose it. And then we're just seeing the movie for the action, which is like, you know, cool. I enjoy seeing things explode and people getting beheaded and all that stuff. The CGI was great. You could tell that they partnered probably with like Macintosh or Apple during that time, because everybody had a fucking Macintosh or a laptop.
Yeah, it was pretty front and center in some of those scenes. Like,
oh yeah,
look at all of our Mac products. It's 2003, so we're getting heavy Mac right now. Let us get to the meat of this thing.
You got it.
Let's talk about what we're talking about. Let's talk about what it's talking about.
Talk about what we're talking about.
Let's talk the talk, which is pretty much posing a lot of similar questions that we do have in the first one, which is this idea of, do you have control over your own destiny? And if you can see the future, what do you do with it? And then beyond that, what do you do with the time that you have here? You know, do you spend it trying to avoid the end, or do you live in the moment?
I control my life, all right? Not some crazy list that death has put together.
And also, it amplifies your fucking phobias or any concerns or fears that you just might have upon leaving your fucking doorstep and being like, how am I going to die today? 101 ways. Yeah, if you were afraid of going to the dentist, don't see this movie.
If you're fearful of farms in some way, don't go there.
If you're afraid of just like road trips,
getting in a car, really.
Yeah, getting in a car was a big thing in this movie.
Started it off.
There's gonna be a huge accident. We're all gonna die. I just saw it.
All right, that's it. My turn to drive.
The meat of this was just definitely all relying on everything else that had nothing to do with the acting.
Yes.
Or the script writing. It literally was just about the action of this. That's all we cared about.
Because in the end, no one can escape death. And today may be your day to die.
Another element that they do add to this one that is a little different than the first one is that all these people we discover that avoid the big accident at the beginning and kicks this whole movie off also had near-death experiences that they avoided because of the actions of the characters in the first movie.
You don't want to hear something crazy? It's not the first time I cheated death.
You want weird? Last year, my partner and I were heading out when a call came in about a train wreck. Frank decided to let me handle it alone. He died that night in a shootout.
Okay, so last May, I'm supposed to go and stay at this cheesy little bed and breakfast in Pennsylvania, right? So anyhow, there's this major gas leak that no one knows about, and all the guests suffocated during the night. I don't know, I never made it. The bus I was on splattered some girl all over the road.
Was that Mount Abraham?
Yes. How did you know?
That bus you were on killed Terry Chaney.
The call about the train wreck that saved my life. That was the night I scraped up Billy Hitchcock.
Wait a minute, wait a minute. Who are these people?
People who got off of Flight 180.
What are the effects of someone dying or not dying that kind of ripple out? Like, who else do you save or who else do you kill with something that you do? Again, what are the consequences of your actions? It goes beyond yourself. It ripples out inevitably into the world. And who else does it really affect?
When we got off Flight 180, it didn't just change our lives. It affected everyone and everything we've come into contact with since.
I just think that this movie overall was more marketed towards people who haven't seen the first one and want to pull them in. Because I think by them making the second one, they understood they wanted to continue and make a franchise out of it. They might have even started from the first one. They were like, oh my God, all this success, let's make a second one. So I think it was geared to pull more people, because I mean, I stated this earlier, but I don't enjoy when the second movie, half of it is like you telling me what happened in the fucking first one.
Well, I think let's move on from the meat then and get to the cook, because honestly, that is what you're talking about. Is the storytelling part of this movie was so heavily reliant on retelling the first movie, which they just threw it in our face so many times.
Death has this grand design that we all fit into. So when Alex Browning got off that plane and took the other survivors with him, he basically screwed up Death's plan.
You guys all heard about Flight 180, right? The kid who got off the plane. What happened a year ago today?
Surely you must have read about the kid who had a dream about a plane blowing up, so he got all his buddies off the plane, and then the thing blew up just like in his dream. But then all the survivors start to die one by one. Because when your number's up, right?
And then later, the cop goes to investigate what's going on, and we get another retelling of the same information that we got in two different scenes again.
I think we could have succeeded a little bit better in the sense that if you were going to retell some of the story, we needed to just have one scene. That's it. That's all we needed. And then bring Clear Rivers a lot sooner then. If we're going to spend this much time in the past, we're already going to have the main character from the other movie be brought in. Well, one of them, because, yeah. I
think she's a good person to bring over. And I said already, I like the fact that they bring her back. But I agree. Bring her back way earlier. Use her. Use this nice bridge that you have to connect these two movies' universes, but have her be a helpful character. Don't have her again repeat the events from the first one. Have her bring new information in that can maybe help in avoiding the events of the first one.
You're not next, Nora. Nobody has to be next. That's the point. Okay, we need to help each other in order to get through this.
I think my concern about this movie in the end is that, at least for this one, they weren't quite sure how to bring all of the stories together in a concise way. It was just all concern about how they were going to die, and then they constructed this characterization and arcs and stuff, which don't even fucking work. Just give me a Saw movie then. If you're going to bring new characters, just give me Saw. Who gives a fuck about where they come from? And give me the kills.
Yeah.
If that's what we're going to just worry about.
Yeah.
And that's what they did for the third one of Final Destination. They were like, all right, here's some fucking people. This is how they all tie in. Dead.
They didn't even try to connect it to the first one at all.
Hell no. They
I
were
don't think
like,
they mentioned it at all.
Don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
You know the story.
That was a good move. What I wish they would have replaced this multiple scenes of information that we're getting is more scenes about these characters. Try to make me care about these characters a little more. I felt them trying to force us to care about Kimberly and the cop character, but I didn't, because we were spending too much time investigating the first movie and not enough time learning about these people. Like, there was one scene between Kimberly and her dad, and suddenly I'm supposed to care that she has a dad, and like he's like seems like a nice dad.
Yeah.
They didn't allow me to do that.
Okay. I'm so sorry.
Saw had come out a year or two before this, and I think that movie, as that franchise got going, kind of gave other movies permission to be like, okay, people are just here for the kills. They don't care about the story. Don't even waste time trying to make a story of why we should care about these people. Just kill them off. come off. People, that's what they want to see. People are interested to see how you are going to creatively murder all these people. So just commit to that. And honestly, it works in a way. I think it works better than what they're trying to do in this movie.
Exactly.
It's a half-assed attempt at us caring about these characters for you ultimately just to kill them. To
murder them. Yeah. Yeah, just do it.
Yeah.
We had 2 kills in one scene.
This whole fucking third of the movie, we're looking for this pregnant woman, making sure she has a baby because apparently new life will
offset death.
Offset his plan. One baby saves all these people. I guess.
For every life, there's a death. For every death, there is a life. But the introduction of life that was not meant to be, that could invalidate the list.
Turns out she was going to live anyway. And then Kimberly decides that if she kills herself and then comes back to life from this nurse, she will save everybody?
I hated that.
I know what I have to do to save us. I have to die.
No, that's crazy. You can't give up now. We have to fight this thing.
I actually didn't understand why they were saved. I didn't understand the mechanics, I guess, of the, foiling death's plan in this movie.
It didn't make sense. I was pissed because also then she became Raven. That's a Raven. She literally was just like, and she would get like a vision.
Yeah.
All of these premonitions, they were so heavy fucking handed.
Yeah.
Heavy-handed. I was just like, no. I hate the fact that you are getting this many and back to back, and then you're also like getting things that I don't think you should be able to see, such as finding out that the pregnant lady was never in the fire or like in the line of death.
Right. So was your premonition just kind of like, gotcha.
Haha, gotcha. Now you have to die. Or like you have to kill yourself. No. Why would she be getting that information from death? Quote unquote.
Right. Loser. You spend so much time chasing this pregnant woman and it doesn't matter, idiot.
And then like in order for you to like cheat death is that you have to kill yourself. Which, okay, I like, yeah, that's, awful.
What kind of message are we sending?
Yeah,
here?
no, awful.
Just kill yourself, because then Nurse Cathargen, or whatever her name was, can just bring you back.
Cathargen?
Where's Cathargen?
What I will say is I can give the second one for upping the brutality of the kills. I think that they did a good job of leveling up that. Speaking of, let's get to the thrill.
Let's do it.
Who in this movie is Death, who we see in the shadows and in Wind. He appears.
Claws.
Yeah.
I hated those scenes. Death being like the lighting and shadowing.
I also hate it too. We don't need that.
And I hated that everybody could see the second one when the cocaine guy was just like, hook, made a hook. And I'm just like, y'all didn't believe this shit like a second ago. So why are you all now on the same page? And why did it take this to be how you guys all got convinced?
And like, I just think that the more that you manifest death as like a wind that is like actually pushing things or like locking doors and closing vents, like I like that less. I would rather it be more just coincidental, which I think they do more get to in the third and beyond. We don't see the like magic wind, because then it feels like a demon, a specific thing coming after you. It feels like they are being targeted by a specter of some sort rather than the force of death, the way of the world kind of correcting itself, which in my opinion is scarier. We got a lot of wins.
We got too much.
Death
and
was
like
farting all over that fucking set.
Yeah. Inside a hospital, you're telling me a gust of wind is, come on.
Shuts the vents like that.
Metal vents. Metal fucking vents that look like they were made out of fucking steel.
Yeah.
I hated it. I hated it in the first one when it like was first introduced as the like blue liquid that was like in the bathroom.
It like rescinded the water.
Yeah.
So it was like covering its tracks.
Hell no.
What worked for me as far as death went is, first of all, I actually did really enjoy the first major premonition of the build up to the traffic accident. Editing wise, they did a good job of building the tension to the ultimate crash and at the same time advancing the story of telling who these people are. And then the actual kills themselves after this, I thought were pretty exciting. You know, we had a lot of, you know, specifically with the millionaire, kind of this fake out where we thought that he was going to die in one way by getting his hand trapped in his drain and then burning to death. But he actually escapes that and impaled by the ladder in the end. I thought that was really cool. I was like, I've seen this movie before, so I knew it was coming. But just the building of that scene and thinking about someone who doesn't know that that's coming is, oh, he made it out. No, he didn't.
No, yeah, it got me. It got me, and that was really fun.
Shit, I'm lucky.
So besides that first one, and I guess the millionaire's death, what was another standout death for you?
Just because I thought it was really funny, the posh girl and how she died. I thought it was so lame, but
airbag.
really funny because she ultimately got murdered by a paramedic who was trying to save her life.
We had an impaling of the eye. We had a child crushed by a pane of glass. We had a man trisected by a fence post. So I think most of these are based, at least at first, in practical effects, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they look so good.
Exactly. I was just going to say, I think this is when we started like really implementing the high tech. We're like, look at how far we've gone. So that was really cool. Although we've discussed before that we are fans of the practical effects. I think there's a lot of art behind that, and we don't want that art to die. But it is really cool to see these kind of earlier films implement that kind of like progression of tech.
They got it really down in this movie, and I think they probably enhanced some things with computers, but it wasn't so reliant on CGI to sell it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where we find that really cool balance of practical and CGI to make things look great. And I think it held up great, honestly. Let's get to the ride.
Let's ride it out.
Let's ride it out. The overall entertainment factor of this movie. Love the kills. Love the action part.
Yeah.
The things in between I was not a big fan of. Like
Nope.
when we were having these big group discussions of just repeating information that we already know and just having to watch these people have, for our listeners, quote unquote, emotional scenes, it was just kind of hard to get through. It was a little bumpy for me, I think.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? I'm not I haven't seen any of these characters in any other movies or TV. And if they are, I'm so sorry. But I do like the idea of making a franchise with quote unquote unknown people. I do like the usage of new people. But then we have to be really reliant on their actual talent to be able to have and continue a successful franchise. Some chemistry would be good if you were going to be making some folks like each other.
Some likable characters, like even her friends that died at the beginning, which is supposed to be her like horrible, like dramatic experience. They all sucked.
Can we go get the guys? I'm getting horny.
They were the most annoying characters, and when they died, we as the audience didn't give a shit.
Didn't care.
And we didn't care
because we're so sad.
I'm so sad.
I'm so sad.
Yeah, it extends to then we didn't care about Kimberly, the main character, because we didn't care about... No one was likable. No one was given a chance for us to make an emotional connection to, and it just... If you're going to do that, it's okay, but just don't waste our time trying to force it.
Mm-hmm.
Just get to the kills then. I think that was the main thing the main issue that we had with this movie. It was really trying to find its place and couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I really, really wanted to enjoy it in the sense of a story, but it didn't have enough substance for me to really want to.
Sorry. Final Destination
FD2.
Okay, let's get to these Smash Pumpkins. Interesting, I think, different experience than what we had with the first one. I think we both ended up enjoying the first one.
Oh, a lot.
So let's see what we got in our bag of pumpkins. Do you want me to go first, or do you want to go?
Oh God. I think I have a number. Okay. I'll go first.
All right.
I'm gonna give it a 2. 2.5. 2.5. Yeah, I'm still a fan of D2. FD. 2D is from Gorillas. No, it's just like I understand the complexity of continuing something that at some point I'm pretty sure lots of folks are telling you to make because then they want that money. So you have to pump out something that maybe is not going to be the greatest work. So, you know, we gotta understand the background of that. But as a movie itself, I don't think it was as successful. If we're going to also compare it to the first one, sadly, it fell short by a lot, in my opinion, for reasons like that we fucking just said. The script to me was just the weakest. I think it was the weakest of scripts that we've seen in the movie so far, and we've given some ones. And I'm giving it a 2.5 for the freaking practical effects. It does take a lot of time to really get some accurate shots and just blow up shit. It's a lot of money that you're doing, and it's a lot of fucking prep work that you're doing because sometimes you only get one of those shots. One. And if you're fucking lucky and have enough money, you can get 2 shots. But that is rare. So they had a lot of explosions and a lot of things to take care of. And you can tell that is what they put a lot of their energy in. So that is why I'm giving it a 2.5. Everything else sucked balls.
Yikes. Yeah, I agree. I think you're right. My main highlights for this movie are the effects between the actual action, explosions, to the actual deaths. Really great. Really nailed those. And I think that, like how I started off this podcast talking about, when we're comparing the sequels, when we're inherently having to compare the first one to the second one, they upped the brutality and beat out, I think, the first one in the brutality of the kills. Really enjoyed that. Unfortunately, I think almost every other category for me just kind of falls short of the second one. I don't think we evolved the world of Final Destination in this movie. I think we got very much a repeat of the first movie. And while it was cool to see some of these characters return, like Clear Rivers and Tony Todd, that came back as the mortician. I think his name is Mr. Cromwell.
Oh, you know what? I need more scenes of his.
We need more Tony Todd.
Just a simple question and we'll leave you alone with your new friend.
Dead. Yet still fresh.
If we're gonna just like put him as the mortician and be like this very kind of guy in between death and stuff, bring me him more. Bring me him more?
Bring me him.
Bring me
Period.
him.
I love those nods. I love these smaller, maybe side characters coming in because it's not such a direct nod. But then we didn't do anything with them. And so everything really, along with the performances, just fell flat for me. So I think I'm going to give this one a 1.5. 1.5 for me. And you're right, mostly going with the effects. And that's about it.
Yeah.
That's about it. Final Destination 2.
Wow.
All right, so let's put this one to bed and see what we're getting next week.
Next week, which is your turn.
Lovely. The pressure's on.
All right. I mean, we talked about it off mic. You just recently watched a movie.
I recently watched a movie.
And you said it was in the bucket. And I haven't seen it.
Yes.
Because I've been kind of holding off.
That's fair. And I was also holding off for a while to not watch it because I wanted to watch for the podcast. But for some reason, the mood got me and I
The mood got you.
The movie I'm talking about is Talk to Me. So.
All right. Horror gods.
Let's see if the bucket is talking to me.
I'm going to piss my pants.
I'm not looking at the title. I'm not looking at the title. Okay. Ooh.
Okay.
No, it's not. Henry Spencer tries to survive his industrial environment, his angry girlfriend, and the unbearable screams of his newly born mutant child.
Mutant?
It's one of your favorites.
Henry Spencer.
One of your favorite directors.
Oh.
We're talking David Lynch in his directorial debut of Eraserhead from 1977.
Ooh, my brother's going to be so excited. He told me about Eraserhead maybe a year ago. Or maybe even freaking 2 years ago.
Here we go. It's a cult classic, that's for sure. And we're in for some Lynch weirdness.
Awesome. Sweet. I did not know the freaking log line of that movie. My brother just My brother just told me all the like traumatic like beats to it, and I'm like, oh, this sounds. That was a lot of noises right there.
Sometimes that's the only way you can describe Lynch movies.
Yeah,
just noises.
Have you seen?
I loved. All right, cool. Well, join us next week for more of that if you're into it.
Yeah.
But until then, you can give us a call.
Yep, we have a phone number.
We do have a phone number. You can give us a call at
773-669-6677. Freaking call us, leave us a message. We would love to hear your sexy ass voice telling us a sexy ass story about how you got into this sexiness.
All of it. We want to hear it all.
Yeah. But yeah, in the meantime, you can hit me up on Instagram. Color Me Leslie. Just like my stuff. Don't send me a DM.
Yeah, don't hit me up.
Don't hit me up.
at BPPritchyT on Instagram. You can also check us out at the Deadlights Pod.
Just by looking, don't check us out up and down.
Don't check us out. Likes. We're looking for likes.
Just likes.
Loves. Tasteful comments is fine.
From
too.
afar.
Yeah. But until next time.
Let's get spooky.
Ooh, look out for that big old bus.
Oh my god.